Thank you very much, Demo. You want to elaborate? You want to use any more words?
Nope.
Okay. Well, you've got it. It's kind. Can I just pull you aside for a second?
Okay.
We got to talk a lot. We got like an hour, maybe 3 hours to talk.
When was that arrangement? When did I agree to this?
A couple of months back when we got the contracts through.
I thought I was just here just for good looks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you must have accidentally got someone else's contract. Ooh, we saw a little glimpse of somebody's strats in Dots' camera, but hidden away. Right, we do have a moment, and it is okay. You're going to be pessimist because you are. I will instead take the role of optimist because I am, because there's always possibility, Demo.
You've just said mind the gap between Lost and everyone else, by the way, and you're supposed to be Miss Positive over here. Yeah, right.
I have, but it's the thing. I'm only saying that because in the top 5 teams, which I don't think we have anywhere else, the top 5 teams all have at least 5 wins. No, they all have at least 6 wins, even. And that in a league to be that sort of top, it's like F1. There's currently, you know, front runners, and then there's teams that are trying to catch up to the front runners. And that's the problem with a region that is so good, is that there will always be that sort of divide.
10 seconds to insertion.
Yes, they are on an island in the middle. Their round difference is a little bit negative. Their points difference is just good enough to get them here. But now they need to prove it. To come in here and pretend that they don't have that challenge is how tragedy occurs, Demo. But instead, focus on the challenge, surmount it, and you might be surprising everybody, because who gets to be an underdog but the underdog themselves, right?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I see something very interesting about the attacking lineup here for W7M. They have done their research. Look at their lineup, Emmy. Not a single bit of hard breach. And for a basement, that's not typically something that we see. And I think it's because that W7M know that Lost like to go for this extension in with the castle. So they're going to already open up the hatches for the attackers. You don't need to bring any hard breach for that. And look at this position right now. From Doodad straight down the staircase, picks up another. We're only a minute in and there's already 3 players dead. What's going on? This is not a basement.
Yeah. It was like the double shield run. Obviously, the kit's currently cold inside the bar. I think they're a bit worried someone's going to try and pick it up. They haven't put the pressure on towards Dirt, but they're trying to find Dark, who's adrift on the top floor. And if they do find him, that's an easy shutdown. Not only because, well, it's a single player running around on the top floor and you're in a decent situation with shields, but there's so much time. And time allows you to go for these takes, these plays. If he's gone undetected, that could spell a bit of a tragedy later on. Palu is watching one set of stairs for a potential rotate. There goes the blitz up towards the top. Volps is on a mission. They have a ping. They have the scent of blood. And they also have somebody on the back stairs. Dodes gets himself his 3rd for the round. And what a start it has been for him. That's entirely what you needed to do there, Demo. Find the player, shut him down, and now you can focus on the side.
Yeah, this will just be a very painfully slow round now for Lost, where it's just the inevitable's going to happen to them in W7M. I've got so much time.
Oh my word.
Surely not the first round ace. It can't be. It can't be. Oh,
it's the first round ace, baby! Wow. I mean, what an introduction. And unfortunately, what a way to back up the pessimistic points us and the desk made before. There is a top dog team in this game, and opening with an ace is just a show of strength that is a bit terrifying.
Oh. Well, if that is a little glimpse of things to come, I think Liquid and FaZe can get warmed up right about now by the time we finish this series. Because honestly, a first round ace where really Lost didn't lay a glove on W7M that round. Like, of course, yes, he's got the ace. They would have won that round nonetheless, even if he had died, you know, in the 4v2. Because that was so such a simple execute, really, for W7M. If you look at what they had Blue Hatch, they had Moto Hatch, they had a massive opening into Triple Wall, into Church. There's so many different options that they could have used there to really execute. And for 2 players trying to hold that entire basement with all those hatches opened, it's just not going to be possible for them. And you can see that's probably why he was able to get the ace, is because Lost knew that they almost needed to challenge onto him try and get a kill back, but he just wins the engagement against you and he aces you. So, yeah, w7m, they've done their homework. I think that's the main thing to get across after that first round. They're ready for this.
Now, for all that we sort of talked about as well, it is worth highlighting the fact that obviously the last play day was these two teams meeting each other, and it was one that went all the way 7-8 in towards OT. It was a defender-sided Nighthaven Labs. Dodos was the MVP of that game as well. Really sort of put the extra mark in, and that's going to be our decider. That's going to be where we end up eventually, I believe. But you know, there's always that sort of chance of driving in. In fact, here, a steady potential approach on towards the top floor. You can see how they're cooking with the time that they want to put into here, w7m, and they're making sure that everything is sort of paced and thought out and pressured bit by bit. It's why I kind of like the take on his army before, is if there is a situation to be lost, it's down to the team with the advantage to lose it in a similar manner, and that's made by underestimating your opponents. The fact that they're being as cautious as they are, it's the sort of tale of, oh, they're not underestimating them, right? They're being precise. They're forcing loss back step by step in towards the site itself. They've already just got half of the site the control. The air jab will be very easy to remove, but they've cut off construction windows, so at this point, oh, Legacy's playing their life, and they're able to actually get one, get out. The Keeper will buy them a second, and a great little bit of movement there gets them back to site.
Yeah, Azami, very strong, of course, inside of construction. You've got that big kind of area of the plank just in the middle of the room that, which you can put the Keepers on. Able to block off the angles that, of course, the windows want to try and provide. w7m, actually intent in trying to get themselves in towards Jim, but very smartly there. Lost just being able to swing around and deny that. So really for Lost this round, they're just giving w7m nothing to work with here. So with 30 seconds left and no kills on the board for w7m, it'll be a tough execute.
Well, talking of a tough execute, there's at least a back and forth, but Palu, he's going for two. He'll take the C4 out of midair, but in the meantime, Farius has been able to find Volps, and Lobin cuts his way for a double. How have they done this? Palu's under a lot of damage. They've been able to cover it off. They're going to go and stick the plant in the meantime. They're just getting it locked in. The pre-fire and premonition pulls them off the plant. Great bit of movement there, because now look at the timer. The player cannot come off it, but Palu doesn't come off either.
You can't teach that. You can't. Like, that is just, you're better. Simple as that. So the way that we would look at rank between, like, champions and diamonds, a little bit, isn't it? That's the difference. I mean, they have nothing, like, at a 4v5, 30 seconds left, they've used no util. They haven't cleared players out of positions. Still, bathroom is intact. I mean, there's mirror windows still up.
Attackers need to
Even
locate
barriers.
and defuse as many
And
bombs as they can.
somehow, those two players just walk in and kill everything that moves. I mean, Palu, beautiful. Yeah, gets the first, gets the second, and then that shot on the C4's the creme de la creme. Honestly, but just, yeah, skill diff,
Bomb
skill
located
diff.
by attackers.
Let me have a look at you, Capullo.
2-0, and you know how there was a part in that round where I started talking about how good teams won't throw away their advantages and things like that. Don't get me wrong, it was rested control, but they did have an advantage there, Loss, and w7m were able to find a way to steal it back. The essence off the back, Palu getting the 2k and then shooting the C4 out of the air. So we have a nice
Attackers'
little
objective
panoramic
is to defuse a
of
bomb.
the canisters. Beautiful cinema, the Maison C.
How much good has that done you?
How much good has that done you, Azami? One day I'm gonna get you to get involved with those little voice clips.
I'll pass.
What?
And it wasn't in my job description.
Oh, I thought you were the voice of Rainbow Six CJX.
No.
I.
You're thinking of a bald guy who used to do some shows back in the day.
Tim, he's still around.
Yeah, Tim, that's who I meant, yeah.
Lobin.
If you know,
With
you
the-
know.
Yeah, Lobin with the Deimos is ready for a siege time all to his own, as he's just going to take his time and slowly creep his way up underneath. Wants to try and maybe apply some pressure onto whoever's in logistics. Just get the ping. It's all soft floor. Peppered some shots through the floor, and if they know that Mira's here, Dark might be about to be under a surprise shot from a big revolver. He can just turn the corner towards the left, but he also doesn't want to get caught from that side. There's a bit of a motion. It's a Blackbeard, and a Blackbeard's able to do a lot of damage. I'm a little confused.
What is...
And now Dark is dead.
Like, what are you doing? Like, I have no words. I just walking around watching with a C4 and I stand looking at Blackbeard and just dies. The nade, like, oh, that's one of those. It's one of those.
Well, that's that damage I talked about.
Round's good. Yep,
and that leaves Legacy. Will there be a timeout after this? Potentially, probably. There's how much you think they're going to lose, but remember, this is their defense. As I said before, what got them all the way to the end was defender-sided. And here, well, it has been anything but.
I mean, for w7m, this is business end of the season, isn't it? Let's get the job done, you know? And I think, obviously, for a team like w7m, we expect to see them at events. You know, if you look at the players in that team, I mean, it is a star-studded lineup from top to finish. You know, trophies galore in that team as well with the people who have won things. You just think overall for a team like w7m, it's almost bare minimum to get top 4, isn't it? You know, that's the way we view this team, as one of the top 4. Like, really, for me, it's... I mean, it's tough because I think NIP now have to have a discussion at the table. But originally for the past 4, you would have said that it would be Furia, w7m, FaZe, and Liquid would be like your big 4 in LATAM. Probably the same way that we would view, obviously, our own region of kind of EML. You know, well, maybe that's more of a top 3, I think, at the moment. We're still trying to find that 4th team almost. But, you know, certainly I think for this region, NIP have obviously came in, and I think they've really kind of upset the apple cart almost. But I still think w7m have cemented themselves as, of course, that top 4 team. We know that. I mean, finished 3rd place, of course, behind Fury at NIP. But yeah, this is what you expect. This is the team.
Yeah, it's almost the sort of split as well. Because remember the year that they started off with, too. Obviously, things didn't quite go their way in playoffs, where they came out in the lower bracket semis, I think it was. But they were top dogs. They were sort of flying high in 1st place in stage 1, dropped off a bit in towards stage 2, but they're still, as I said, not a million miles away. What, one game, one win separates them from 1st place, or joint alongside all the other teams. They're on a plus 17 round difference. What separates Loss in 6th from Liquid in 5th is 7 points, is at least 2 full wins, and then a little cherry on top. And that's, as I said, it's a worrying divide, but it's also, this is the practicalities of it, is when you have a team that is as good as they have been, showing up, because let's be honest, it feels like every single member of w7m right now is getting around where it's like, Mom said it was my turn to get the triple kill. Either way, we have the break, we have the conversation, and now we have ourselves with a slight change in the bans. Azami's gone. Even more limitation in terms of how they can sort of construct some defenses. We've seen it used as their escape, and talking of escape, they're gone, but will they get all the way? Yes. However, as you pointed out before, look how well w7m have read Loss's holds.
Yeah, and I think this time Loss is obviously taking a lot more of a passive approach in terms of this roam game, where they're not looking to go out and fight w7m. They're more than content with just kind of sitting back and just allowing w7m to, you know, to take the map and maybe try and play a bit of retake. But and if you look at the pressure now that w7m are doing, they're starting to actually kind of work now on the bomb site, which is naturally going to drag these defenders back downstairs, and that's exactly what has happened. All of Loss have fled. They've evac'd that top floor. I think they've got themselves down in through oil pit, and yeah, they're back in the site now. This is probably where w7m want to be. And don't forget, with the setup, half the work's done. You know, hatches are opened
yeah.
up. It just, you give them so much time over w7m, and yes, they have the Goyer there to probably try and counteract that. I don't think w7m can. I mean, they've got an 8 on the Blackbeard they can utilize to clear away a Goyer if they need to. I also like the addition that this time they've brought in the Habana, so there is the possibility of trying to open up that triple wall even more so than what already has kind of been done to apply the defense. When you look at that middle wall, it's completely open. You're almost sent to the Blackbeard. Just come on in.
I was watching to wait and see if that C4 could get body in because there were so many people piled up, but unfortunately just couldn't quite get the snap right. Less than a minute now. And as you said, most if not all the work is done. So, what was the conversation about, Lost, and how are you going to try and stop this approach? They've only got one shield, but they also have the blinds of Candela. w7m, they're spreading wide. Gonna get some eyes here above blue. There's a little bit of nerves either side. In fact, there's one deep on oil. Look at the Blackbeard on the opposite end. The Candela start to rain in, and the pressure comes as well. This first kill could be very defining, and Farius and Legacy are the two that get it off either side. Lost's hold has been able to withhold at least, but we've seen the slip away before as another couple of kills go back. Legacy make sure they can at least keep themselves moving. The pistol, turns away at the worst possible second, but somehow still wins it out. And now it's just Dark left. Close on the triple wall. He knows pressure's coming either side. He's trying to isolate a fight, but he can't. w7m lose the first 2 steps in the dance, but show you they still know how to tango.
I mean, what a flick. What a flick from that machine pistol.
Yeah.
That is not an easy thing to do. And really, I think for a period there, I was worried for w7m. I was kind of sitting there thinking, okay, what am I going to say about, how this attack has kind of failed? Because that's what I thought was going to happen. And really, w7m didn't have a massive amount of util going into blue. I mean, you could see that Dodez was just struggling. Like, he had to take a swing. He had to take a gunfight. And you kind of think whenever you have the Ying on board, give him something. Or maybe it's the fact that they thought, oh, it's going to be a Wame anyway. We're probably going to get everything burned up. I don't know. It's a tough one to call, but I think this blue, Dodez was really struggling. And again, it just comes down to players in this w7m team just hitting shots and just being better. That's really what it comes down to. I think the strategic aspect of w7m is there, but there's no denying that at least 2 of these rounds they have won whenever the execution and the general prep work of the round hasn't looked to be going to plan. But they've had individuals who stepped up and won a massive engagement with terrific gun skill, no doubt about it. And that is what's carrying them through this game, I think, at the moment.
Reloading! Initiating jammer.
It's always that other conversation about it, though, right? Is how far can gun skill carry you? Because it's not the be-all and end-all of a great team. It's very nice to have, and you want to make sure every player can at least shoot. We're in that sort of meta. But also under that same sort of breath, when you get against the teams that can do that and also play strategies, well, usually the strategy team is the one that comes out stronger. Here, I guess it's that sort of split where a couple of these frustrating rounds have gone away. It's a very low Selma. And that one's a bit better.
Oh dear.
Nisa, turn the throwing guidelines on, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, who doesn't play with them? They're great.
Yeah.
That's actually been such a good addition as the kind of arc throws, isn't it? That's very, very
At
helpful.
first, I really didn't like them because I was on myself. I think they were great for people to have, and anything accessibility is. But I was like, just get in the way. But then I'm like, oh wait, this really helps me line things up.
Yeah.
And almost does things a little bit nicer. But
Yeah.
anyway. We're going to see if gun skill can keep mounting. At this point, we've got to sort of remember that Los need to remember who they are. As worrying as it is to say, they have a chance to get 2 defenses, but at this point, you're still looking at driving an attack aside of Clubhouse. It's not impossible. It's a map that can operate itself both ways, but getting themselves together, being there to work on that trade game and be a bit sharper in terms of controlling when they get an advantage and how they can sort of bring that one over the line is that big end piece. Are they just going to drop in? Yes, immediately in and immediately off to the races. Dark gone. They're able to get a second. Somebody do something, please.
Just yeah. It's. I think. I just think it's over. Like really, this is brutal from all accords, and w7m are just going in and they're winning just every engagement is going their way. Just every engagement. I mean, Loss are probably thinking, what's happened to us? You know, it's as though, like, you know, they've got the kryptonite and they just can't do anything against it.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they
I
can.
mean, yeah, that was a brutal one. Just dropping Logi Hatch and that being the entry point and then picking up 2 kills on the back of it is, with that pistol as well, the machine pistol is an addition. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, this could be... Well, it will be a quick opening to the day. Whether it carries on for the second map, obviously this is w7m's pick. We could fully have in-hand picks here. The problem is you then go on to bank potentially afterwards, which
5 seconds
is a bit
remaining.
more of an even ground, but you're still looking at, what, 55% win rates on either side for either team. It's... You know what the other worrying statistic is about Club?
What's that?
Is w7m's attack win rate across, 8 times they've played it recently, 42%. The defensive win rate, 72%.
Really big.
Yeah, they're almost twice as good at defense as they are on offense on this map.
I make my own entrance.
Look at the confidence, by the way. I mean, this is what you get whenever you're 5-0 up, and it's just been an absolute breeze, isn't it? Like, straight into business. Maybe too straightforward there for Volps as he loses his life. But, I mean, really good headway, though, coming in from Gym and Construction. I mean, they've kind of straight away known that, yeah, again, they're just going to gift us this top floor. Like, no problem at all for just sweeping that top down. You can see that Loss are obviously going to go straight in for that turtle defense. They're not opting for the castle this time around. So obviously for w7m, it's all about pace and how quickly you can just do those basics right. Open up your hatch, do your vertical destruction, i.e. get your rams in towards kitchen, and of course that main corridor, lock down those different angles. And again, just put just a massive amount of pressure over towards blue, which may be difficult though, Whammy, because they have lost that Capital right from the get-go.
Yeah, they lose Capital, and also nobody has immediately been traded out as well. We've usually seen that first kill, if it's something in the favor of the defenders, get caught out by the attackers not much further after. This is sort of what I was talking about, where this is where we need to see them have a bit more control. They've not been impossible at this task, but it has felt a bit distant from them. Now wanting to just slowly creep their way in. Is there going to be a little bit more success from a C4? You can see them, with the drone underneath, sort of baiting the motion. Buy themselves some time, but that breach just a little bit too far away. And now with the pressure, Arthur's under. And the fact that they haven't really been able to find a body yet, they're just going to slip their way further back instead. Let the Ram get the work done, 50 seconds. And just play that you are 5, they are 4. Versus game. Do not let them even that man count before they go for the drop.
Yeah, make it difficult for them, and I think this will probably the most difficult round that w7m have been presented by, because again, 30 seconds left, no kills. I mean, they've got the basics right, but this is going to be so difficult for them, and I don't know if it's going to be a case of going for the plant or just playing for kills. And I think Lobbin, he's going to try and go for the kills. What a creep up in through main to find Arthur, and now it is a 4v4 potential now for w7m.
Well, they're able to at least get one more back, but Lobin just keeps in now. Dots has put one more nail in a coffin that seems endless. Kurtz finds a body. 5 seconds, though. They have a chance to pull this one together. Kurtz and Farius do find that round for the end of Lush, but there was a moment where we looked like we were hurtling into a flawless half there. They have a lifeline. They have one round into their favor, and that is what they will have to try to build a skyscraper on. It's not the deepest of foundations. At this point, w7m, as I said, they're going over to their defensive half. It is their much stronger half on club. We have seen things go away before, but at this point, we would need, I think, sort of major psych changes from both of these teams for this to flip. Because not only do I feel like those aren't playing to the level that we've seen, they're a bit sort of shy of some engagements. They're not quite, as I said, getting those trades together. w7m are playing very locked in and unbrazenly
Protect your bombs
confident.
from being defused
The
by attackers.
times that we're seeing them just throw themselves in towards sight, they're limiting the shield approaches. It's the limit of electronics. It's going to find itself in some sort of gunfights, and that's seemingly where w7m are very, very happy right now.
I just think it's the confidence, isn't it, with w7m? I mean, I kind of mentioned it in that last round. Yes, they lost it, but just how quickly they were able to get themselves into the building, just sweep it with
Attackers
ease.
have located
I mean,
a
they
bomb.
don't fear anything. And I think equally, if you bring that same level of confidence and aggression onto the defense, I think you
10
can make
seconds to
things really difficult here for loss. And again, it's not so much we're now
5
looking at
seconds to
w7 and thinking, oh, well, they've lost that round, maybe there's the comeback. I don't think that's going to be the case. I just think
Attackers
that
are
the,
moving to defuse a bomb.
you know, the skyscraper that you mentioned, I just think it's built in quicksand.
Well, let's see if it sinks in towards the break quicker than anything else then. Now they've got themselves to play here. One of the only soul shields left standing is going to be stood as they try to wrest some control over heavily fortified rafters. Curious to see how much the attention is sort of put on towards maybe the other side of the second story if they want to be a bit more direct. This being a first pick site isn't the most common for a lot of teams, but I think they know the game that they're going to play into. Right, they've limited what we can electrify, so why not play the site that often opens up anyway, that is usually open external walls, and stretch them into a bit of an unknown terrain. Where they want to drive that blitz, I'm curious about. You've obviously got the Rara that can try and build some of the safety behind them, get the cover on towards, you know, the construction doorway, but then you just put yourself into a bit of a box here. They still need to approach something. And as I said, I'm curious where they're going to start. It feels like they still are as well. There's the break on towards the construction single wall. And Parlu is now the one playing against that Logi hatch, but w7m is just itching for a fight. They're in though.
Here we go.
In and off to the races. Immediately trying to find the catch. Dots gets one. Dodos gets another one on the back, and this has fallen apart.
We've tried a rush without the main breach being opened first. Now that's a new one that I've ever seen on a blitz. Just basically jumping in dry, you know, not having any kind of support there, and w7 have just say not today, not happening. Yeah, I mean, it's just the confidence. I mean, look at this as well. You know, for a final kill, a lot of teams would just sit in their hands, wouldn't they? And wait, nah. w7 thinks, come on, we've got places to be.
So, was that desperation, or was that just let's get this over with? I mean, as you said, and I'd sort of hinted it, they were trying to run the numbers on what they could do work. They were droning out. They were getting construction wall open, and then, oh, they've gone for it. They didn't do anything else by that. I don't think we saw them put pressure on Jacuzzi. I don't think we saw them... Well, we know that they didn't really put any pressure in towards rafters or in towards the main breach. So it was never any other pressure. They hoped, I guess, that w7m were just a bit too spread out and weren't really paying enough attention, but we'll think about what they had the coverage on, pretty much the entirety of the floor itself, and they had a network of people to ensure that regardless of where you entered, there was always somebody behind you, whether it was the player on rafters, whether it was the player on red or cash, whether it was the player inside construction. It just was a network of problem, and much like a spider's web, as soon as you hit it, every single being attached to it is aware.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Anyway, 6-1. Los.
Attackers
That
are moving out
skyscraper's
to locate
sinking.
a bomb and defuse it.
Where do we go now? Because, I mean, you kind of look at loss and who's really stepping up.
Oh, you
know,
have to just go
it's
to the
just-
next map.
You know, obviously for Arthur. I mean, I know that has the new James Bond been cast yet? Have we got? Is that? I don't think that's happening. Has it? Has it? I don't know. Well,
No.
get him in there for an audition.
Send him in. Like before he had the license to kill. I mean, as I sort of said, it's a disappointing way of having to look at it, but it feels like they've checked themselves out of this map as well.
They just want to go next.
They just want to go next, I think, at this point, and they're trying to make sure that in a weird way that they keep themselves a bit sharper and keep things going a bit fast. Means that they'll get there sooner and still be a bit warmed up from it. It's a best of 3 series. We've seen people come back from the brink of the worst and pull themselves in. It's never over until it's over. But you can tell from how they're sort of applying themselves, especially with how little fact-checking they kind of did on the previous round. Time to go. The Pocket Banshee deployed. Just in case. And it works on the back of the destruction, so it doesn't get called out of the calls that are now coming together. They've got themselves circled around, and they're trying to find a first bite. They're not entirely throwing themselves in, but think about the positions that they're kind of not clearing currently. Yes, you pop the smoke on towards the CC wall. There's going to be keepers that go up, but this is only going to buy you a limited amount of time, and it's time that's being pulled away. So they have to be worried. Someone might try and swing out and apply the pressure. They're still looking for this opening body. You can see that Parley's got his first. Dark's trying to push up red. They're swinging out the window with the secondary Malusi gun, and they get away with it whilst the Deimos is tracking them underneath. There's one, but there is a map one.
Oh, he just set himself right down the hatch to get that kill. I mean, this is what I mean with the confidence that w7 have. They're always going to carry that over to the defense, and yeah, it showed.
We need to see a new Los, right? We need to see a Los that has stepped up, found energy that wasn't otherwise there before, and is desperately trying to reclaim a right to fight in these best of 3 games.
Well, I think overall, I think the desk had tried to be as positive as they could be, but I think whenever you look at just the clobbering that happened in the last map, that's very, very difficult, isn't it, to really try and say positivity? Because yes, you can treat it as that best of 3, but momentum just carries on, doesn't it? You know, I think everyone has a Siege where you have played just the best, not the best game you've ever played, but just the best day of Siege that you've played. And that could be the case for w7m, where it's just everything, the whole day's going right for them. It's not just a map. You know, it's not restricted by just one map. It could be the whole series for all we know. So you have to fancy w7m, no doubt about it.
Defenders, protect your bombs from
I guess we'll have to see how this one starts, right? Because, you know, you're looking at Bank. It can be a good map for attackers and defenders. Generically, for both these teams, it leans into the favor of starting on their attacks. So w7m, you know, they're looking at more strength sort of here, and I guess it's always the split where we could just find ourselves, if they're attacking the same way they did on the previous map, if they're bringing the same sort of aggression, if they're making sure that they're in control of everything, and now they're back on the attack driving seat of Bank, is this a bit of a false move here by Los to give them that much to work with? There's a confidence thing to it, right? You're looking, it's not specifically that the map works better for attackers or defenders, but both of these teams have been better statistically in their attacks, and I just kind of worry you're going to get 3 rounds in and then just be in the mindset of, oh no, it's happening again.
Oh, w7m, they get to go on the attacks just like Clubhouse. They will kick us off with at least a guaranteed 6 attacks for them. And you look at the way the Clubhouse played out, it was just down to sheer gun skill, I think, a lot of the time. They will be, again, dealing with another basement, not as, I would say, in-depth in terms of doing basics, per se, compared to Clubhouse, where you have to do a lot of vertical work. I mean, this bomb site, you don't have to worry about doing verts. It's mostly just taking map control, and that usually comes in 2 instances. That being server, and then also garage is always a point of contention. I don't think we've ever seen a Monty going in to take garage. I mean, this is like a lot of resources you're putting in. Is taking the shield here, and well, Monty actually going to use the smokes because again he has to de-shield to crouch his way under, and that means he could get shot. At least it gets him in, but is it the case of are they ready for that glass who, like you mentioned, is pretty much just a shark in the water right now?
I mean, they're waiting, right? But there's some support that's coming. That's the worries. There is somebody that's come around to offer a bit of a swing, and there's Legacy. Doesn't even need the support, and now you've got a Monty stuck. So it's the smoke that came to offer some support here. They've already used 2. There's a minute 30. If they can get the kill, they just need to send it. Why are you being scared? Bring a friend and kill this Monty. No! 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 I know that there's always the fear, and we know a little bit more, but that was their plan. That was their setup. They get Volps. Importantly, they find another body, and it's traded out. Dots is still causing drama as the Monty. Is this just inside the site? It is. He's pushing his way up. He's got himself locked in. Carlu's here as well. Yeah, okay, you're putting some pressure through. They're just spraying, making sure nobody's there. They're going for the plant itself. There's nothing to immediately stop this. At this point, spraying and pre-firing, put the grenade down, caught out. There's the rotate onto the Monty, and now Dodez has to stop them defusing. Can't do that, and Lost were able to save the round out, but a couple of moments there.
I mean, I think moments like that, for me, you should be losing the round just based on what you've done. Yeah, you deserve to lose if that's the way that they're playing. Yes, they've won the round, but it's not great, is it? Let's be real. It's not good enough at this level. And if you're gonna keep giving opportunities away from, if you're gonna keep giving opportunities to w7m, eventually they will, they will punish you for it. So they need to shape up real quick, real quick.
You also hope that they've learned lessons from it.
Bomb located by attackers.
Right, you've also got to hope that they've taken away things from that of being like, yeah, we made a bit of a lucky escape, because truthfully, they did. Getting the first kill was good. You could see that the smoke came in and offered support because the smokes were popping off. They had the two players. They did what they needed to do there. The Glaz couldn't step forward because of the threat of the swing player that would have been called by the Monty. They had to try and isolate a fight, and then they still won out the fight with what is a great shotgun, let's be real, but still hitting them with the slug. But then also, in terms of the extension of that, you then have the Monty cornered, surrounded, and the Monty gets 2 kills. And it's just, I don't know. It's a start. But maybe lessons learned. They have 1 round. They have already been as successful as they were last time, and now they can see if they can try and double it down, get a little bit more on the back of it. Technically, only obviously 2 kills came through there for w7m. Maybe they got a little bit overconfident, tried to get the plant in before they maybe could have actually operated with the Monty and the 2 remaining support players themselves. If, you know, the fact that they were still sort of watching on the verticality wasn't great. So instead, take their time a bit longer here, try and not be as direct in towards a site, a different site, fine, but weigh the numbers. They're clearing the basement. They're making sure that nobody's going to try and sneakily stab their way up this time.
Yeah, interesting that they are not going to try and force a shield, which certainly has been a kind of common occurrence that we've seen on Clubhouse, where if the shield were available, they would have brought one in, but not the case here for w7m. Instead, they're going to try and, I think, lean into more of the kind of util dump that we kind of expect to see in this top floor coming in from the windows. You've got the Grim, who's obviously going to be great at just grimming out anyone who could be inside of Janitor. It looks as though that they're not going to go for the kind of traditional take where you would just sense out and swing straight for the window. They're just going to take a little bit slower, get the wall opened up, but then still use the senses to block off lines of sight for this Thermite. Now, I think the only win con is just, is a C4 going to land? You've got 3 C4s. You need to make it work. You need to hit a C4 if you want to stop this attack. Wow, we talked about how late or how early the first kill came, and this time it's a lot later on. Dots does finally get the end of the first, but a mirror isn't entirely obscured. Oh, that'll definitely make the mirror a bit tougher to play behind. They waited as long as they could, but now they've got a narrow sliver of support. However, they're still knocking on the door. They cannot just send themselves in. They're opting for more and more fights on the back of it, though. But if Dots goes too wide either way, well, that's going to happen. Lobin does pick up the kill on the back of it, though. There's Dark getting at least 1 back. 40 seconds, and they slow things down, spraying on towards the windows as they shuffle their way around, offer some more support towards the back line. And still stuck outside. It's a decent way that they've been able to at least stem the flow. Now, what do they have to try and cover the plant here? That's the sort of split. They do still have the sense wall. They're going to roll one of those out and see if they can try and make it stick. But there's a C4 from Varius that could be the decider, or it's just Dots. Lying down, waiting. How many people has he killed from this position? Well, as Dodes gets 1 more, that'll be 1 less. No health, just an echo. Can the echo define it? There's a drone above. There's the first hit. Maybe went a little bit early, and the second won't even get to see it. Yeah, good round from w7m. I mean, that was a very clean take. They took their time with it. They knew what they wanted to do. I think they just played to the strengths of that bomb site whenever you're attacking it. Yeah, just using the window game extremely well. Putting the pressure onto the player inside of Janitor. And we know, Emmy, as soon as the player in Janitor is gone, who else is really going to be able to stop that plant? Like, no one's going to be close enough to get a C4 from one bomb site to the other. So it needs to come from Janitor. And yeah, you take up that piece of the puzzle. No way back, really, for loss. So yeah, great round from w7m from all accord. So very, very impressive to see that response from the first round.
At this point, you know, it's sort of, as I said, w7m, they spent a little bit more time working things out. They spent a little bit more time sort of running the numbers and ensuring that they had control of the areas, that they got so many kills without moving too much. I'm a little bit curious how that fully ticked together. Obviously, they had the breach quite early on. They put the pressure onto the mirror window. But then, as far as I saw, the next pressure was just from the windows and sort of basing that player in Janitors to swing, which happened. And they got kills, and then they got 2 kills from the thermite breach, and you know, it's those sort of engagements where I'm wondering if Loss are expecting more or less, or what is really happening there. Either way, they have a chance to set themselves off to a good rhythm here as they're opting to keep the rotation off towards open, off towards a new site, and the first bit of control once again. w7m not being direct. Let's run the numbers properly.
Well, shield comes in, and going to, of course, allow them a good opportunity just to walk into kitchen using that shield and then try and get themselves tucked in by open area for a plant. That's traditionally why we see shields be brought, is just because you can do that. Obviously, for Lost, they're going to want to try and hold as much of the map as they can. A very heavy util lineup, and you've got Castle, Mira, Azami, those operators. I mean, you're going to have to use quite a lot of util from the attacker side to get rid of all that. And they do have the Flores. They've got some nades too, so nothing that I don't think that they won't be able to handle. In comes the shield with said nades, and looking to see if he can clear away some of this util. Oh, that's a great swing there as well from Dudez to assist that Blackbeard. Opens up with a second. I mean, they've lost the shield, but look what they've gained 3 kills for it. They're just feeding him right now.
I mean, he has just been on another level throughout, I guess, both this split, but also this series. He gets himself just another set for the tally and can keep himself driving on through. He opened, obviously, the day earlier on with an ace, and well, it seems like he wants to try and angle for another one. The Deimos fishing out those remaining players, stuck sort of trying to play extension, but think how awkward this site is to watch when you have the man disadvantage. You've got to watch so many different angles. You've got to watch so many different pressure points. You've got a very long, slightly obfuscated hold. And it just takes them to operate a single pinch, and suddenly you have a lone soul player. Now, Palu is hurt, as is Dodez. So it won't take the biggest blow to get them out, but you can see they're fully aware. The flash will start to roll its way down. They're just trying to force the pressure of the last man. The grenade won't quite get the catch. 30 seconds. Nothing immediately off the back. Another roll. With some flashes as the players put the pressure on. They've slipped their way in. They're trying to find the fight itself, but they don't quite get anything on the back of it. There's a one on the front of it. Volps finds Arthur. Dodez won't get another ace. The party will get the last.
That clean again from w7m. I mean, you opened up with that free piece. That really just cements the round in your favor. And they just ran through the basics there in the 2v4. Didn't allow anyone from Lost to get themselves back into it. I mean, really for Lost, if you look across this whole series, they have been, they've been down and out every single round. No, I don't think there's been a single clutch yet. So that's another factor that we always look at that great teams have, are players who can clutch, players who can go in there and make a difference. I'm not seeing that from Loss.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always tough to put that in as a thing, because it's not...
Attackers need to
it's rare to have somebody who is like without already being known as a clutch player, if that makes sense. And you look at how the roster has sort of played up until this point. You look at how Lost as a roster has sort of operated, and they've not got anyone where you're like, oh, they've saved X amount of rounds, right? They're sort of usually a little bit steadier with things. I think that's the sort of worry right now is, you know, there was sure a bit of a divide between Dark, but he was operating more as the first port of call. He was less the one that was clutching things out at the end and more just giving them a decent first foot to step their way onto a round. w7m in the meantime are just able to shut that game down time and time again, as Link sort of pointed it out and joined in Leo's ability for cursing teams earlier on. The two players named were the ones that suffered in Arthur and Dark, and you look across and Arthur's, what does that make him for the series now at this point? That's, what, 0-11?
Yeah, it's not a favorable stat line that you want to carry, and it's simply not good enough. You know, it's not good enough at this level. Whenever you're in the playoffs, you have an opportunity to get to the major, and this is how you show up. And here's the thing. Yes, Lost, they'll get another chance. Of course they will. Is it going to be any more favorable than what's already happened to them? Probably not.
Well, there's Dots eliminates Farius. I mean, just sheer brute strength. They're going to see if they can try and operate on the back of it. They do find Kurtz in the meantime. There's Arthur getting a kill, though. On towards the second that he just got before as well. Must have found it just before they dropped down. I missed the first, but hey, what a time. Maybe once again, we've done the reverse of the curse and brought attention to it, and now they can start to operate. They've been able to survive and hold off the pressure. Think about what's been taken out of both teams here. Fine, they don't have the Izami, the Goyo. Yeah, they're playing this position. They're gone. But now they don't have the frag grenades from the side of Palu, and they do not have what would otherwise be the bees from the pressure of Logan. So they've got to try and operate instead of something a little bit blinder, a little bit harsher on the swing round. Nothing to offer the support there.
A really good work from the Twitch, being able to clear away those Goyos. But so much util still left in the bank. Yeah, you've got either your smokes, the Chanka, and I'm sure probably an Echo Camp somewhere that you can maybe try and deny from. This is going to be a really difficult one if we want to try and go for it, and we know about this Tachanka and just how difficult he makes it. They have been able to clear the shield though, so it does just mean that Arthur doesn't have the lineups he would like to have, and also that actually changes out his guns. Instead pulls out the chemical launcher again. Are these going to land though? And yes, they will. So Dots has to come off. There's the Echo as well, being able to move in and get some information and also deny the plant if it did come to it. They're going to replant once again. In goes the smoke. Now for Dots, is he going to stick it?
No!
That's it.
Oh! I mean, the fire combo. I don't know even if the smoke landed, but the fire definitely did. Arthur gets himself a quad kill, and it's an ace! Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? I said it at the start of the round, 0-11. And then they get an ace. I'm like
You're quite good at that.
I'm the opposite of Lynx and Leo.
We should have had Leo come on, you know, midway through this game and talk about how he's like, oh, 12.
I'm a blessing.
Because Leo's quite good at coming on and saying something and then
I mean, the thing is, okay, so the first two was great. Obviously, the first one slipped away because I was very distracted by the fight that was happening. Got the pinch, tried to move on, and then see the second, Tachanka's got 2 kills. Amazing. And that was a good reaction to pressure. In a way, it's sort of what was talked about in between the break of what Los needed to do was react to what was ahead of them, react to the game, stop them playing the game that they wanted. Fine, it's 2 rounds on the same site at this point, but at the same time, different ways that it came together, and they got a couple of kills in the journey. Then they were very prepared for the plan at the end. They obviously had all of the fire, all of the smoke, and what a way to return your form in towards a game. Our second ace of today across these opening 2 maps. Always nice when that happens. But 2 apiece, and this is the problem now, though, Demo. Can they try and make it happen? You can. I wouldn't recommend it. but you can sort of end on 2 and the 4 in this sort of turn. As I said before, both these teams are better on their attack. Los should have more of a hand on their attack. They've done well to wrest some of these rounds away from w7m, but think about that first round and think about how we could and should probably be 3-1 up in some worlds. Oh, they're just going to try and slam their way up. We've gone back to this pace from before, all the way up and into the barbs and into, well, death. Volps is able to find one. They just quick zipped up as well with Lobin. They're inside the site looking for a fight. Volps finds another one. He's got the kit, but he's just going to keep on trying to kill. Now he's tucked as he goes for the reload. There's some of the damage coming through. They're just utilizing the blitz to force the players out. Volps is smoked and he's trying to find a soft place to stand. There's his third for the round, though. Sprayed through on towards the janitor position. A blitz goes for the blind, goes for the smash, knocks him down. Dodes gets himself a 4th, which I don't think is really what happened there, because Volps got the other ones for himself. Now it's a fight on a set of stairs. They're going for the plant as well. Volps is going to try and lead in. Look at how many bodies. 4 of them are on this staircase. There's one. There's the trade out.
It's almost like a strat roulette, right? One at a time, you know, only one person can push it.
You could see
just lined up in the queue.
4 outlines on a single set of stairs. There is a world that backfires, and it's cool.
No. That world, that does not exist. I hate to break it to you. Now, there may be infinite universes. That universe doesn't exist. I can confirm. They play my kind of Siege. They really do, w7m. I love it. Absolutely love it. You look at the operator choice that they brought. It is just sheer, let's see what we can cook. Like, really. And they just full send, and I love it. You know what? That's the thing. If you're not going to play that playstyle and you're going to bring these operators, you either admit that if you die, the push doesn't work. You admit that, okay, now we all need to go and die. You can't sit there and kind of like try and play a different playstyle with the operators that you bring. If you're bringing that, you need to go fast, you need to go hard, and you have to kind of agree, okay, if it doesn't work, we know why, because that's the way we're trying to play Siege. It either works or it doesn't. And they just fully commit to it. Every single person is not scared to die, which I think such a great trait, where I see so many players, especially young players, which I want to be really specific in that, because I think this w7m team 2 years ago, whenever they were emerging, of course they were naturally really young players, and we kind of looked and said, give them time to develop. But this team has the experience. They have almost that veteran status. I don't think they're a massively young team, are they? In terms of just ages, I think maybe is the youngest, like maybe 22 or something like that. Am I wrong on that? I don't think I am. I'm pretty sure.
He knows the city of birth, and
I'm pretty sure like the youngest is maybe 22. So they're not a young team. And young players we see all around the world, whenever rookies, especially rookies, come in their first year, sometimes they played scared. They are terrified to make a mistake. This team doesn't care. If they die, they die. They don't care. They move on. And that's what I think is a massive difference that this team has. It's just over the past 2 years, they have developed so well.
I made a joke there about Jesse knowing every player's birthday. He actually does have that, and he's referenced this before, and I'll finish this joke in a second when we get ourselves through on this bit of pressure. As Gertz actually finds the first one towards Dodes. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. What was that? How? Okay, whatever. They're going to try and throw themselves in. Lost need to win this round. They maybe been handed a free one, and they probably have. Palu is all that's left. I can't believe he TK'd with a Flores drone.
Who else did we see try this attack? Didn't we cast that attack another time? Was it FaZe who did that?
I'm still a bit lost.
Or someone else?
The Flores
drone
team kill. What happened?
I'm guessing they was trying to clear away a route for Glaz, and Glaz was probably in like a smoke and just stayed still. That's kind of what Glaz does.
Yeah.
I forget what it was. We've definitely seen that attack before. It's something that, again, it's not uncommon to see a full send in with the Aurora, where you would combo the Aurora with the Glaz, you block down one of the double doors, you smoke it off, then the door gets destroyed by, it should have been the Flores drone, I think, and then the door opens up and the Glaz is there just saying, hello, so again, it's a strategy that we've seen before, just didn't pay off there for w7m, so it is an even half. However, How confident are you right now, Emmy, for loss on their attacks, considering what we've seen happen in Clubhouse?
I mean, I think we're going to see a different loss. I think the attacks we saw in Clubhouse, we sort of commented at the time, was this is them trying to get to the next map. This is them sort of being done with it. And you know, they weren't fully checking things. They weren't playing the way that we've seen them play. They
Attackers need to locate
struggled
and defuse
to
bombs.
piece things together, and it felt like they were just a bit checked out and going, look, we need to get to bank. We need to keep ourselves high. All of the warm-up. Let's get to bank. Let's just roll. I think, and I hope we'll see a different Los here. The W7M's hiding at Tachanka. It's not the biggest surprise. They've obviously got the Tubarao as well, and the smoke. They're not playing with the Goyo, fine, but I think at this point you would still expect to find a Tachanka on the site, and it won't really change the approach too much, I don't think. Obviously, the limitations on the hard breach, and they're not going to be able to hold on towards the hatches. They've got them locked, and soft is currently unopened, so they could try and drop down, but otherwise, we'll see how it comes together. Anyway, very briefly, the stupid bit I was going to come up with, imagine a desk where it's Jesse, who knows all the players' birthdays, and Jackie, who then breaks down their star signs and how it impacts them as players. That's the whole bit.
That's the bit.
That's the bit. That's the whole. Because I legitimately think that would happen with the two of them. Anyway, you've worked with Jackie. You remember her?
Yeah. Myself and Ollie have a very famous clip with Jackie. So,
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking.
Jackie, we're live. No, we're not.
No, we're
Jackie,
not. Ooh, they're alive here on the top floor.
Loading magazine.
I miss her so much. She's out there killing it somewhere.
A lot of anime stuff as pretty on brand for her brand, I guess.
Jackie, if you're watching any more Siege still, we love you. Shout out Jackie. Anyway, a minute gone. Pressure taken over the top floor. They hit a wall made of a shield and said, we're not going to play this game anymore. Drop down janitors. And now holding on towards the mid floor. At this point, it's a slower, safer, steadier clip from Los. And this is almost what I was talking about, right? Immediately, this is a different feeling. Ooh, that's not a good way for that to happen, though.
Yeah, it's the aggression again for W7, and we've seen this in Clubhouse. They're not afraid, and they're just taking the fight to the attackers, and really, this round's done. You've lost the two util dump operators, you've lost your Grim, the Sense, who, as we know in this basement, is such a key thing for teams trying to go in for the plant. Yeah, just a lash out there from two players. Both of them die, and just a 1v5, which just turns into nothing. Yeah. It's pretty much Clubhouse, is it not? Just W7M moving through the map, as confident as ever. No mistakes. They are in the driver's seat right now.
So it's kind of a shame. I mean, I sort of started talking about how this feels different. And then we saw that first kill, and then we saw every other kill happen after that. And it was like, oh no, Demo, this feels the same. Yeah, I mean, what else do you sort of say about that other than scratched first round, really? 4-3, W7M. Get it very comfortably. There was drops in the pressure. They controlled the pacing. There was a lot more of the map to play with on that site than probably any other site, you could argue. This one, definitely. Yeah, you could have a Roma try and flank up at some point and you could put the pressure back on, but the way that W7M sort of led them into the top floor, dropped down again, but they were able to still hold on and get a couple of kills. It's a great extension of the format. Here, they don't have the same options, and to be fair, it's the site that was won consistently by the defenders on the previous half as well, so who knows? 4-3. They're not a million miles away for Los.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
And they'll start an approach here on the top. Got the Sense, got the Ying. Not operating with a shield, as we've seen pretty commonly throughout the opening half of this game. Instead, see if they can just try and get it to land in the gunfights.
Just think for loss on the attacks. From what we've seen, they're just missing that confidence of going in these gunfights. W7M are just walking around the map, doing whatever they want, and they're not being punished. That's the big issue. But I will, though, counter that point and say that W7M, whenever these aggressive plays are being shown, we're doing it together. No one's just going out by themselves thinking that they're him. They're going in pairs. They're going back to basic pairs. You're doing something. No, bring your battle buddy. That's something that I think some teams miss out on. Yes, aggressive, play style, it's viable, of course it is. You need to make sure that if, just, a small if, because again, it's you shoot, me shoot kind of video game. If you lose that engagement, you need someone there with the trade. I think that's the important thing that w7m are doing here today.
They're fishing steadily for a loose body, but it's not being offered towards them. And at this point, as I said, w7m's sort of control and way of being a bit prosperous on any sort of portion and corner of the map is something let in. There's going to be some pressure that comes underneath janitors. We know how important that and powerful that position is, but it's actually Farius that gets caught out first. There's Dark's going to drift their way round. They've obviously lost the Sens, which is probably the most important person in this lineup. So what do you do now? How do you adapt to not having that? What is your position on the plant? Fine, you have the smoke canisters in a lot of pockets, but they're not going to have anywhere near the same control for what is a pretty tricky swing in and plant. There's Dark getting a good take onto one, though. Sort of dropped, put the pressure on, rotated his way around to Archives, and then slipped it back for a second. Lobin, head removed. Now, do they know about another player currently buried? Oh, they've got to, and the pressure's going to come around either side. Is looking for a way in or out here. Dodez with a great gun to do it on, but they just need to not give them the opening here from open window at that range.
Look at Dotso. I think went down the main stairs to try and support. But now also went back up to try and stop this attack from happening. Lawson maybe thought, okay, let's just ignore that guy in open area and try and flood through the bomb site, but it's not going to happen for them. And now you've also left Dodez on an opportunity to go for a flank up square.
Well, there's Dodez getting his third for the round and finally put out of the misery of Los, who's it's Dark with 3 of his own. A C4 ends it, though. w7m, they put a bit of a divide into this game. The first time it's happened on this map. Will we get a timeout?
Oh, I hope so. There it is. I think it needed to come in. And right now for loss, I think maybe decision making there. You look where that guy is inside of open area. Surely that is a free kill. 99% of the time. You know the positionings. You know that if there's one guy outside of open area, probably the other 2 are going to be upstairs. Granted, I did mention that one player came onto the main stairs to stop that buck from pushing across elevators to kill the guy inside of open area. What's to stop that buck just sat, hold the angle, stop his escape, and then 2 other players try and push out that Rooney. I think there's a big opportunity there that they let go. So yeah, I think it comes down to that confidence thing again. You know, Loss are scared to push one player.
It's again, I'm trying to frame it in a way where we're building the positivity, but it's almost like there is just a different level between the 2 teams right now, and it's sort of being put into practice. And in some way, w7m, as we said before, they were the top dog team last time round and got 3rd place after a disappointing playoffs bracket. They were the 3rd place team this time, and maybe they feel that pressure within the playoffs bracket to prove that wrong, to prove that they should be one of the ones fighting in towards the top end and getting in towards the finals, and obviously above and beyond from that point onwards. Now, with this divide and with that timeout, maybe the last of their play day today. Obviously, they would just fall down to the lower bracket if they lost this. They could lose this in a manner with only 4 rounds over the 2 maps, which would be a devastating start to their campaign hopes when they run the trail, knowing that they'll have a lot more teams to get through, and that's the big problem. There's never an easy game when you are that 6th place team, especially with the divide that was between 6th and 5th and the rest of the board. Every single one is do or die. They have the pings, they have the catch, will they have the player? How long will they sit, and will Solus find themselves alone? Is actually going to try and bait the pressure themselves, and you can see that Solus is fully aware somebody's watching on this side, but they've actually... Oh, they've escaped!
I mean, come on. That has That is probably the freest kill there is all day. Perfect information via a drone that this guy is inside of ATMs. How he gets out of that is beyond me. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know how w7m get away with that. Yeah, boss. A big chance. Missed. Now, they brought in the Monty, which usually signifies a bit of panic here. You know, the panic Monty, as we like to dub it here, Emmy, where teams will bring in that shield to try and slow things down and make life as easy as possible. Just play around this Monty, let him gather the information. No better map to do it on for a Monty than Bank. By far his best map, the way he can just maneuver into these large rooms and be, you know, completely safe. Don't have to worry about crossfires. Still, w7m able to get the first pick.
There's the Brava gone. Theoretically, they could have got some of their work done, but think about what they might have been able to steal, right? And it's only really mute jammers and a bulletproof camera. And at this point, you're otherwise sort of trying to trick and truck your way ahead. A minute, though. w7m, they've been able to pull a lot of time out. There's some of that encircling above. The Ram getting some of the steady work done at this point, but they're going to be pushing in. I sort of talked about this on the other side. And the other map, even, when I say when you're going against a site like this, if they can keep themselves wide with the man advantage, it works very, very well into their favor. The Deimos tracks a man in the middle of the site itself, so they know where he is. It's sort of the worst possible person to track here. Lowen, in the meantime, might end up haunting them the longer this goes on. 30 seconds, and they're still maybe clearing. And that's such a worry, because where are they going to do right now? Look, where are they going to go? Look at the hold here.
Yeah.
All of the w7m players.
Free smokes, Sammy. Like, what's Monty going to do? Absolutely nothing here.
Well, not go through that door for now. There is Loben caught. Finally put out of the sort of misery. The Deimos gets the track and they don't quite catch it, but it just bought a little bit more time and it was an opportunity. 11 seconds. They're just having to run in. They're going for the fight itself. They're able to spray their way through and suddenly it's just Palu. Okay. The plant's being confirmed. Palu's currently blind. He's been able to slip his way at least one step further forward. There's the spray on towards the cover. Doesn't quite get the Monty. Now the other player has to step in. And Palu is aware of it. Look at the positioning that Kurtz has. It's a fight. He's going to actually drive himself through. Go for the pre-fire. Waits for the drop of the shield. He's playing either on either side here. Arthur is baiting some of the engagement. Can't fully put his shield up. But there's another scrappy engagement. There's the fight with the Monty. Knocks them down. And there's the pick back up by Kurtz. It was almost the flip side of the rounds that we had in the previous half. Los didn't have a lot to work with, but they just made it count.
Yeah, I mean, the Monty has to be said. If it was not for that operator, they would not have been able to get that round on the board. I'm still surprised that they did. I mean, that Monty should have been locked out. A couple of players got caught out there. And I think that's maybe a criticism of the way that I think the way that w7m approached that defense. There was a period whenever that first kill came in, and it was a 4v5, there was a moment where every single player was actually in the bomb site. You know, and I think for that bomb site, there aren't a lot of safe positions to sit. If someone's outside on copy window, if the hatches get opened up, you're pretty much going to be sat on top of one another. And that's why we see teams like to extend in toward tellers and archives, give yourself a little bit more breathing room. But Loben made that attempt to go downstairs and try and play up the hatch, gets punished because of that. But I think certainly there was moments that had to come down to just not enough safe positions, really, for w7m to sit in. And look, the Monty, massive factor. Being able to get that plant down successfully. I mean, obviously there was a moment there that w7m maybe could have won that round, but it didn't go their way. Looks like we're going to have a rehost, though.
10 seconds to insertion.
Well, a rehost. A quick break in the sort of momentum, which is almost a shame for Los, really, but it at least gives them time to talk. Time to work it all out. And as you can see, obviously, where do they go next? Into Furia. But as I said, pick your poison in a region this strong, right? There's never an easy game in playoffs in pretty much every single region. But here, when you know you're probably up against a team that, by a lot of people's books, will probably be in the final of the major, if not SI again, then shucks, what do you do?
It's a toughie. think we may be ahead of schedule based on how this series has went.
Oh yeah, we're not gonna have a day like
just a bit.
the playoffs they had our down under colleagues.
What was the exact time that they started a show and when they finished it? What was actually
The broadcast was 16 hours long, I believe, based on the VOD. I think it was 3 or 4 best of 3s? Maybe? They put in a shift.
All I'm saying is they wanted an APAC LAN. There you go. Can't complain. You wanted this. All I'm saying.
This was your fault.
This was your idea, guys.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much we can sass them. I assume they're sleeping now and resting before they're inevitably back towards it. We are here, operating in a space where we're only a couple of rounds away from having the first series settled. Not quite there yet, but not a million miles away. At this point, W7M, if you've missed it, are sitting just around up 5-4. They've been able to thread 2-round packets together. That's sort of the difference between them and Los. Los have got themselves 4 rounds throughout the showdown, but they've not been able to get more than 2 in a row. And they're obviously also all generically on the back foot across the 2 maps. You currently have Dark operating again, which is great for the team. The split as well. So, you know what? Map 1 between Dark and Arthur, they went 2-16. Here at this point, we obviously had that big ace round from Arthur. They're even on 6-6, 8-6 here from Dark. It's a good sign, but you still want more, right? Because you need more. As sort of obvious as it is to say, wanting and needing. But a brief break. What do you think the analysts are talking about right now?
Oh, and that's a good question. I would say I don't know.
Well, yeah. You didn't have to hold me on the I would say. You could have just said I don't know. You set me up. You strung me along. Like I thought there was a...
That sounds like a you problem.
You strung me along. I thought that you were going to devolve into a bit. But you didn't.
No.
I think one of the problems that's evaded Los for now is the entry statistic. I think between Farias and Dark, who are often in that role for the team, they're currently 1-9 across the playday so far. So it's fine. That obviously includes Clubhouse, but sounds like we're slipping our way back into game. Hey, we're back into the game.
Where are we? What's the bomb site going to be?
Oh no.
Someone's rehosted it wrong. We're back out because it should not be 5-3. It should be 5-4.
Oops. So what do we think the analysts are talking about? Well, we'll hopefully get that back up again very shortly.
Just a slight mishap there. And it should just be a quick remake. It shouldn't be, too long. It'd be pretty rapid to get ourselves back in there, of course. And for W7M, Spirit's still looking pretty high. And I think, again, for good reason, I think they're pretty comfortable right now with how things are playing out. I don't think we'll make it to labs. I just think W7M just should breeze through this. I think loss just today, I think up to the standards of a team that deserves to be going through. To, don't forget, play Furia. If this is what W7M has done to them, what do you think Furia would do to them?
Well, I mean, I think that's the worry of any of this, right? Is, as I sort of said, the games are just going to get harder and harder. It's the same with anything, but then here it's like, oh no, Furia and also NIP unreally form and also probably FaZe at some point, and you just like, we got to get through it. And then what's the potential easy game out of this? Oh, it's Liquid that's in a good bout of form. Great, amazing. I found out what the analysts are talking about, by the way.
Okay.
Because I'm friends with Fast Dan. I don't know if you are.
We've met before.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm at Disneyland.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You went to Disneyland with Fast Dan?
Yeah, Fast Dan, Chambers, the Green Giant was there as well.
Well, I'll tell you what. I was going to say that they could tell that story, but also they're all here now. We have them all in some manner on the cast. Very briefly, how do you think this game's going?
Bad.
Closer than I expected. Yeah. I think we commend Lynx here for making it as short as they could. I like that.
Demo, do you have anything to ask them? Now we have the desk with us.
No.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Demo.
Devo,
One thing,
Devo, I want
say,
to... Sorry, you go, Leo. You go. It's fine.
no, I'll just say one thing. Like one thing that's been consistently a problem that I don't think we've picked up on it nearly as much. These guys on Lost are unable to win an opening engagements. They won 2 out of the last 9 rounds. They're getting destroyed on this.
I want to say I appreciate Leo really earnestly trying to do some analysis in this 8,000-year tech pause.
To be fair, I made that point as well just before we dragged you in, Leo, that 2 of their entries, Dark and Farriers, are 1 and 8 between the pair of them over the showdown.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's
It's not good.
It's
also...
Before this match, they were one of the worst team in all of SAL in open engagements already. So that's not going to help.
Oh, and
Are we seeing how mad Dotus is?
Link's trying to say something.
Yeah,
Link, sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm trying to make a serious point, and Anne's like, "Do you see how mad this guy is? Like,
he's kicking off."
I'm like, I don't know. I'd be mad too if I was in if it was in a 15-minute tech pause. Like, of course the guy's mad.
Technically, you are in a 15-minute tech pause.
I mean, we're all. Trust me, we're all in the 15-minute tech pause.
Sorry,
we're all
Lynx,
together.
please make the point you wanted to make.
No, it's fine. I was just gonna point out
Make
that
the point,
when
Lynx.
those okay. I was just going to say that when Los played Liquid, it was Farius and Dark Guys dropping 13 and 14 kills respectively, and now they're both having a really rough series.
That's a good
All
point.
I was gonna say.
And this may be the point that carries us in, as maybe someone was angry, but Loban's all smiles. We're back into the game here, friends. Thank you all for joining. Any parting words? Thank you. Okay, now leave. Bye. Sorry, Demo. I noticed you got a bit quiet there. Were you a bit nervous meeting those 3? Have you, like...
Oh, you know, rubbing shoulders with the stars. I'm kind of used to it, you know.
Are you like the sort of person, like, where it's like when you're like your parents' friends come over and you go and hide in your room and you're like, oh, he's usually a lot more social than this.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
No, I think for me, meeting new people, I wait until I see if I like them, and then once I like you, you can't get rid of me. I think that's usually how I operate.
Like a cat in some regards.
No. I don't
if
know,
you were
I
an
don't
animal,
have a cat.
what animal would you be?
I think I need to take like a test, like a BuzzFeed test or something.
10 seconds remaining.
I think so. I mean, I don't think I've ever had anybody go silent at the prospect of that question. Usually people will just be like, I don't know, like a dog or a bird or a cat.
Attackers are heading out
And you're
to defuse
like,
a bomb.
I need to get this quizzed. I need to work this one out. Anyway, we've worked that one out. We're back in. Thanks everybody for bearing with us. There's another round kicked into gear. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. It was a 7-1 clubhouse, w7m, ba-ba-da-ba-da. Lost just got around to make this a 5 versus 4. And Volps is trying to find a fight down. Wants to be prepared for anyone that might try and drop down the stairs itself. But Los, will they be a little bit slow on the approach?
Well, they've got 4 roamers to deal with. This is a pretty heavy extension. You can see the positions. You've got Archive's open area and also admin office being taken up by Free. And then Volps can also assist because he could also come up in towards blue and fight anyone who could potentially be inside a square. So I do like the split here from w7m where they're all going to be in positions to try and assist one another in these engagements. So for Lost, it's just taking your time, using your util well, and there's the Dokkaebi call, which again will give that information over, but nobody's really followed up on it at the moment. I think maybe that Dokkaebi call was kind of used to let you know where they aren't rather than maybe where they are. Oh, what a drop from Dark, just straight down the hatch, catches Loblin as he was thinking about going for a rotate back down the hatch. And Arthur finds Dots. That's a lot better from Loss. They've got the opening pick. They've been able to use their util well. They've taken their time with it, and they're winning their engagements.
Well, at this point, still trying to hold on towards the top of blue as well. I mean, you can see that they're running their numbers. There goes Dodez. And it's just Volps thinking, okay, well, where do I go now? The separation between these two players, it's a high-risk position here from Volps. He's hoping he can get one before he drops away, but the pressure is going to circle him. Hey, we almost had a flashback. This does get one. Looks for the fight, and Arthur, very importantly, wins out the follow-through, but Palu, he's going to put himself in an off-the-piece position and try and catch the Blackbeard. Oh, and he might just do that. There's one. There's a slip back. Very important, because now they do not have that shield to operate. He can try and isolate. 1 versus 1's a bit sharper, a bit easier. They will have heard him going back towards the site itself, and he's trying to find a fight up towards the hatch now as well. It's a cold kit. Outside in servers, but with 30 seconds, I mean, all they have to do is try and recollect it. They still have the pocket hard breach to open up the narrow slip, and there is nothing he could really do to stop that. So instead, he has to opt for fights, which he just can't take from every possible angle. Get around.
Bad timing there.
Strong.
Just holds the angle open area, and the moment it looks like the guy swings. It's a tough one for him. Yeah, I'm just a lot better from Loss. I mean, that's how you clear that map. Take your time, bring in operators that'll help you do so. You've got the Damewish, you got the Dokkaebi, so you can fight against those roamers. Blackbeard is always going to be an issue. w7m need to try and get the energy back up. Maybe the rehost kind of mellowed out their levels a little bit, Emmy, so maybe that rehost is trying to get them fired up again.
I think it's also the split here is taking the time out immediately. They want to keep them off map point. You can see that the sort of the deep conversations going together about it. They just want to get this locked one over, right? They push it on towards series points. Suddenly, Los, it's the first time they've been able to, as I said, tie 2 rounds together in a row in this map as well, and actually technically in the whole series, because, well, they only got 1 in the first map, but at this point, w7m, they've broken that momentum with the team talk. They can try and push this one over the edge, but it's also time for Los to talk, because think about where we're going next. Fine. All that we said about this story in this game was likely going to be a 2-0. You saw that first map and went, oh yeah, everybody was correct. Now they've got themselves up to the 5-5. It was a 7-8 loss. Last time these two teams hit on Nighthaven Labs just a few days ago, regardless of superstar performances, that is where it ended up. There is more than a possibility here. If w7m let this game start to slip and Los start to believe, they might make believers out of everybody. Starts here though. Got the Deimos, got the Ying, got the chance of trying to slip their way in. In fact, no, they don't. They swap off towards the Buck and try and get some of the pressure from underneath as they did before.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
Get in position.
See if the timeout got them up and at it, ready to go. See the lineup from Loss. It just kind of screams like just gonna take from square. You know, there's no shields being brought in. They try and maybe go fast in towards Janitor. I wouldn't say they have a great lineup. They're trying to play the window game. Typically, you'd be looking at operators like your Sense, like your Aurora. Also, ranged hard breach out of the option would also limit them massively, of course. This is, I think, where w7m really banking that their top floor can be really strong because you've limited what they can do. I mean, Ace Habana and also Monty are like just fantastic operators for attacking this top floor. So yeah, Lost I think really restricted with the options that they go for, so that has to be the square take here.
Quiet.
Usually if you're going to go for the square take, taking in towards stockroom is typically the important thing, where all of your util needs to go in towards. You know, typically you would have like a shield inside the hallway watching in towards square. So yeah, it's going to take their time again. So you can see Lost just want to take it slow and steady. And also seems to be a buck being utilized from downstairs. So they're going to use the kind of tactic that we've seen before, where your buck will go downstairs and try and rip open the flooring inside of Janitor to clear that player out of that position.
Now with Palu taking a shred and a slight slap of damage, heal themselves back, but just keep the pressure up on all these openings, all these hop-ins here. Los are going to have to fight for their first foot in the beachhead before they can try and develop anything a little bit further on. There's that buck getting the drive through. It was good bait last time round that the player sort of dropped in towards the hatch and they picked a catch on whoever it was. And Dark, finding more and more confidence the longer this series goes on, is going to actually not be gifted that engagement this time. Maybe that's the call from w7m. Look, let's stop giving them these little close fights. Let's play a game with a little bit more of an arm's reach. Let's put a little bit more respect in towards this. We could settle this game in 2 rounds and then we could be done for the day. We could find ourselves a bit happier forward. But actually, as that heavy hammer starts to hit elsewhere, it's the flashes that come round. Another smoke canister, 40 seconds. They still have 1 more canister left. As all the pressure comes out on towards the default plant, they'll just stop it and force them to be in a final 20 seconds left push here, Demo.
Did you get some picks? I mean, having built the mirror window, this is another big issue for them. How on earth are they going to try and walk in and go for the plant? Well, seems to be they're going to try and smoke off the vision from Vaults, but look at this angle from Dots, and those Jings are not going to affect them either.
No, there he is, entirely covered. They're going to see if they can try and stick it for a second. Moves the kit round, drops it off and changes it to a different player. It's a double kill, and suddenly it's only Dots left, but getting one. Oh, no! Ooh, a bit shaky on that landing, but Los, they make it stick. Suddenly a slew of kills. And it didn't matter how long they delayed. All it did was leave us here 6-5. Los, they have the opportunity to send us into a 3rd map.
Oh my. Didn't see it going that way. 20 seconds remaining. Mirror windows intact. In terms of util, I mean, there isn't much apart from the Candelas, and obviously there's a Warden just sat in the middle of the bomb site. He's not going to be affected by that. It just felt as though that players in w7m just dropped dead in an instant. You know, all of a sudden it was like a massive 4v1 that the Warden had the clutch up for, and I actually think he went for the drop shot, and then that's why actually on ADS that was a bit of a panic from him, I believe. So yeah, loss. I mean, the slow and steady approach is working for them, like it really is, and even for w7m. They're not as aggressive as what they once were in the opening of this half.
I think it's almost a weird sort of personality shift. Is we think about, again, you know, you talk about the aggression that they had in the first half. Oh no.
Forfeit. Who's gave up?
That's not real. That's a lie. Am I stop lying? You talk about the aggression that they had. You talk about the sort of places that they got themselves into, and yeah, you're entirely right. It sort of disappeared. The longer this series has gone on for, it's disappeared. The places we found ourselves in, and in the meantime, it's the other side for Los. They have this confidence. They're stepping themselves in. They're doing more damage, and they're making sure, especially with those last-minute takes, multiple of them have been those sort of takes where there's not a lot of time left, and yet suddenly they get 3 kills, 4 kills. What is it that w7m, I guess you could ask, are missing about those approaches?
I think it's probably a matter of 2 things, I think, for either side here, right? Obviously for Loss, I think that they've found their technique in terms of how they want to play things, yeah? And it is very slow and methodical, making sure that you're not falling into the same trap where you're dealing with roamers just running around, you're getting picked off and you're not really trading. They're playing really reserved. They're playing in and around each other, where they're always going to be an opportunity for a trade if they need to. And then if you look at W7M, they're continuing on with that kind of same play style where they're hungry for the kills, but they're being starved. And because they're not getting the kills immediately, they're probably getting a little bit frustrated, that they're not getting the kills. And then that's where the overpeaks happen. And that's probably why we're seeing, a big, massive amount of multi-kills going on one side compared to the other, because they're not allowing W7M have that confidence, that luxury, and that freedom just to move in and just swing. Is it a case where Lost probably feel as though that if we try to go just full on, just try and headbutt our way against W7M, it's kind of like the Pachycephalosauruses that you would have seen, that where they try and headbutt each other. Same thing here. If they try and do that, they're going to lose. So they have to try and have a different approach here, and it's working for them.
Firstly, great dinosaur pronunciation. You can tell that you're a dinosaur kid, and it shines. It shines through. Second, entirely right. It's almost like you're always playing the game ahead of you, right? But you have to play the confidence ahead of it. You have to play the energy. You have to be able to, as you sort of put it in beautifully put terms, hit heads. And if those connections aren't coming together into your favor, you'll feel the bruises. You'll feel each step be a bit more awkward. And I guess that we had the first map go so quick and they were so confident to this position is going to shake you, because suddenly the smoke starts to clear and you go, oh no, we are taking too many bruises. And the further the smoke clears and the further you look away, you're like, oh, they've gotten this far away from us during this divide. That's not good for us. But we'll hopefully be back in soon to put this one to bed. As I said, it'll either be one round or we'll find ourselves going into OT. At this point, though, with Los sort of sitting on the divide, the split as well, Dots is currently up, but over the past couple of rounds, we went from every single player on the side of W7M being positive, I believe, to now, well, they're still technically positive, but those +2s, +3s have faded away into zeros. And there's just that sort of dream team pairing. I said it before, Dark and Arthur, they're now both +3. They're putting the pressure in, trying to rebuild a legacy that was lost before. And we go down to the basement. Can W7M get themselves into OT and give themselves another opportunity of settling this in 2 maps?
Well, W7M, look at their approach. They're going in for the basement. They're not wanting to roam. This is just a full-on turtle defense. You've got Mira, you've got Echo, you've got Smoke, all very strong operators here. Basement, it also looks as though that they're going to try and have a really stiff blue hold. And hang on a minute. Whoa, what's this? Nah, I did not expect that the mirror would be brought in to go for an open area hold. Now that's something we don't see all too often, because usually the way the mirror is used is you will use one mirror window for red hall, which again is pretty standard, and the other mirror window to make a hole in the default plant wall. Yeah, that's how we see the mirror be used. Seeing an open area extension, I mean, it is bold, because they did go for an open area last time, but it was very loose. It wasn't as though they were kind of fortified up. They just had roamers upstairs trying to support one another. This, you are playing very, very structured now. You have a piece of util up there that you will utilize to, its fullest. You've also reinforced the walls inside of the admin office right here. So Lost are going to have to go in and use tin openers to get that open. So it just, again, it reinforces, pardon the pun, that this ideology is we are going to hold this till our last breath using every bit of util. Everything we have is going to be a lot more structured than what we did last time.
And for a second, you could see the player out on the rappel watching towards the drone hole. It was in case the threat of a Echo drone could slip out and give the read and then give somebody the follow through to hop out. But instead, the Echo drone is busy whirring away and getting the control inside the map itself. They've fallen away. There's always the chance they could drop on towards this hatch itself. You can see the drone rolls its way through. The spray comes out. It's a shield, and they are gone. Lobin sort of predicted the shield there. You could see immediately as soon as the drone rolled out, they heard the first chunk and then slipped the angle down. It has taken time out of the approach. That's the difference. That's the sort of setup here, and as they'll try and reclaim that time itself, it's going to turn into a fight on towards the stairs as Dodes does get dark, though, and that's the first time that body's gone away from them, and it's the sense as well. A little bit of a worry as that was the opening sort of player, the big drive of that approach. And now you will no longer have those light walls. The calls come together. There's a player up above. Somebody has snuck their way up the main stairs and has retaken the top floor. It's Lobin, a roaming mirror, not the most obvious scene, and it's just more time demo being taken away. They have to deal with him in some manner, and he knows that. So he's being problematic. He's popping up and popping heads. There goes Farius above. In the meantime, the rest of them just have to charge sight. They're able to get 2 kills in that go. But as Kurtz slinks their way down on the back, he's so scared of somebody coming up behind him. So instead, does the call again, but he has to make a choice. He's opting to try and find the fight elsewhere. There's only 20 seconds. At this point, they drop themselves back in towards the site. They've wasted and had the time pulled away from them. They're trying to plant inside and amongst a load of smoke, and there's still 2 more smoke canisters that can be loosed, as well as potentially an echo drone. There's 2, there's 3 kills. Overtime beckons.
Yeah, good util placement there for the smoke. Sometimes we see smoke have an absolute nightmare, and he misses a smoke canister, doesn't go off, the plank goes down. But no, was on the ball. Yeah, the approach there from w7m, really, really good. I think Lobin obviously made that round. 100% if it wasn't for him. I don't think they would have been able to get that over the line. And the reason why I say that is w7m did not hold that mid-floor for very long. You know, they were very quick to leave as soon as just a shield appeared, gone. Not even wanting to chance that. And you think about the amount of time that Lobin was able to waste there. Just that little bit of roam presence. It's almost, you know, it's almost that loss then have to kind of go, oh, well, we have to go and sweep the whole map again. And you can't afford to do so. So then they start rushing, and it felt as though they had like a team debate with themselves. Do we go for him? Do we not go for him? If we don't go for him, I'm really nervous. I don't feel comfortable if we don't go for him. And then one guy's like, okay, I'll try and go for him. He dies. And then it's just, now really what do we do? And they think, well, we just have to try and go into sight. But that's where they want you to go. They want you to just try and play standard. They want you to go default into server, because that's where all their util is.
6 apiece, and will the lessons learned be carried over here? w7m back on towards their attack. Back on towards trying to, I guess, put this game to bed. We've obviously not had an attack of theirs for a long time, but it was a little bit back and forth. This site, though, this was the one that escaped them. So they're the ones that are going to have to change things up, and it's a direct fight. And, oh, that's a risk. Just drop shield. There's no real need for it. Farius gets a double. Gets traded out, but the damage done. Dots, sort of what were you thinking there, mate? You're the shield. Woo! There's the head of Dark gone. Lobin's inside the site. Okay. Maybe it doesn't matter if you sacrifice a couple of players on the pillar of open. If now you can put the fight into the site itself. Legacy's trying to open himself just a sight line in to make sure they didn't drive all the way in towards the site, and he can keep a watch on both without entirely giving up his position. In the meantime, Kurtz playing back in the gold itself. Just sort of watch and wait, but w7m somehow have come out the better.
I mean, there's really nobody stopping Lobin, I feel. I mean, look at where he is, you look at where Kurtz is. Kurtz isn't exactly playing aggressive inside of gold. Legacy isn't holding an angle onto the elevator. I mean, Lobin could just walk straight up to the double window if he wanted to and just hop in, but he's just going to wait for his teammates and wait for the information to get passed through, and they still got some flashes and smokes, and also still one more Grim canister that he can use. But w7m know they've got so much time, they're happy just to wait until everything has been checked, until they get the 100% guarantee that this take will work. They get ready now with the Grim, and you look at Polly as well. He's on with a kit. Is he just going to try and go for the plant? He might.
I mean, surely not. They have a minute. They have time. They're using that as a distraction, maybe to slip their way down. And, oh, the first fight almost goes away from them. But there's 2 for Dodes. I mean, we talk about that gun more than enough. We've talked about this player quite a lot today as well, but for how that round started and where it ended up, w7m come out better. w7m now separate themselves from progressing through the upper bracket with a single round.
This is kind of what happened the last time we seen w7m and lost were on the cusp of winning, weren't they? I think on labs. I think were they like leading 6-5 or something like that, and then w7m pull it into OT and win an OT. So I think for loss, some was history repeating itself. w7m are now back in the driving seat again, and we go top floor. And look, I mentioned the last time we were here, this should have been really easy for w7m. You think about their bans, all three of those bans are perfect for a top floor. Yeah, do massive work. The two ranged hard breach, you think about the can't do wall, can't be opened up. You think about janitor wall, can't be opened up. Monty, perfect for a spiral take, he's off the board. They should find this really easy, and I just felt last time they got bored and they overswung and they died. The 20 seconds they didn't need to do so. Lost played that very slow, methodical game. I think as well, there was big opportunities too for w7m to abuse the vertical aspect of this bomb site, because don't forget where the plant was going to try and be initiated. Pretty default, walking in through square, with the square breach. One guy downstairs with a C4 upsets everything, and I don't think Lost had the greatest of cover if that was to come in. So I think it is an aspect that w7m could also look for, but based on their lineup, I don't believe that to be the case. One C4, you're not going to play heavy into that. Mira's not going to be the operator to go downstairs and go for that C4. So, yeah, I think for w7m, they're just going to try and lean in probably to the same strategy, but just don't overpeak this time.
They want to make sure that this first engagement is one that they can take. You can see they're more than happy to pre-fire every angle. w7m, they're being aggressive. They're being, in some ways, hyper-attentive, but at some point that can be punished, as loss of proven time and time potentially again. Start to get just these steady removals of the catch utility. We've seen some really decent rounds of last-minute pushes, right? And that's built off of preparation. You don't just throw yourself in and hope for the best. You make sure that when the work comes together, it has a nice ending. That's not going to change. At this point, with the chance at maybe somebody trying to step out. You can see w7m, they're itching for certain engagements. There's drifts on towards the doors of janitors. There's drifts to the jaws of the fire that's otherwise being placed. And Lobin almost gets caught, just rotating out, but he isn't. That's the important part. There's a bit more pressure on towards Kanto, but a minute 10 separates Los and the lower bracket.
Oh, well, I've been able to clear him out of that corner, which allows Arthur to get in with the Blackbeard. And you swing like that? Why? All that great util dump to get that player in that position, to give yourself a foothold, is now down the drain. Nobody's going to be in a position now to actually put pressure onto this bomb site. You've lost the only man who was remotely close. You look at where your Capitao is. No util left with a fire. He himself is fired off via the Goyos. Yeah, I think really Arthur has let that slip. Perfect position to establish a foothold. It's been just washed down the drain.
30 seconds, and the Capitao wasn't really in a right position to take anybody that did the rotates inside to Office Desk as well. And I mean, they're just throwing Pepper at a shield right now, right? They're not really in a position to close down. It's going to take something magical here, and the first fight is that. Dark gets one, Kurtz get another, and it's go in towards the site. There's a massive swing up white stairs, and Volp's all that's left here with the shotgun. Gets the drop on one. They're going to go for the plant. No, in fact, they pull off and go behind the bomb chassis itself. It's a 1 versus 1 engagement. Legacy has to time this well and bait it or win it out. He's survived long enough for the shotgun. The execution through the wall, and Kurtz does it all. They're not done yet.
Oh my. How they win that is nuts. This is so weird. Because really, w7m, in position that they were with that man advantage, I mean, once that Blackbeard had died, like I said, they dumped Util in to get him into that position, and he throws it away. All w7m have to do is sit in their hands. And again, similar to the last time they were at top floor, they just overpeak. I mean, the guy in the elevator holding onto that angle, does he need to hold that aggressive? Does he want to even give the Capitao a chance at getting a kill? You know, cracking shot from the Capitao, no doubt about it, but don't even give him the opportunity. Sometimes I think w7m would learn a lot if they just assumed that everyone would hit a shot. You know, always kind of just play it like that. Play safe sometimes.
Camera ready to activate.
Wall fortified.
Almost all the way in potential every series they have outside of the 7-1 that we had before this one.
Attackers have located a
But there's
bomb.
always the chance we get there again. And
5 seconds left before insertion.
it's just this sort of constant threat
Attacker's objective is to defuse
that
the
Los
bomb.
have over w7m in some regards. Here, though, I mean, where do you go when you have this decision off towards open? Is the call as it's come out and as it's sort of come together here. Los, they're going to try and be a bit mobile. There's quick breaks from the Ash. Get everything on the other side of the wall and the castle wall itself. As pressure starts to roll its way on through across the top, it's that delicate first engagement that we might see come to pass once again. Break on towards Kanto. Ooh, and a catch almost on towards Janitors as well. The narrow margins. Varius is able to just take himself out of there without a single scratch. Is an important one. You can see Los, they're really trying to not hand over this first engagement, Demo.
Well, that's the point that Lou had made. The opening engagements were not favorable for them. w7m, they know what bomb site they're attacking onto. This is where the Monty will come in to assist with this top floor clear, but they need players, and what are you doing? Monty's gone. At least they get the trade, but what is it with these shields today? Just give themselves up for pennies.
I really
Oh
don't know,
my.
Dodez! Ah, he pulls that one on towards Kurtz. Well, I guess it's par for the course of the day he's having, but now we talked about this duo time and time again, and they're the duo to try and keep the team in it. The flash comes out and the fight is scrappy. Does damage towards one. You can see that there's another player coming in to support, so instead Dark gets out of there. Cannot leave Arthur in a 1 versus 4. Has bought a little bit of time, but that is it. And now I've talked about this site, how awkward, how sort of unattainable a long watch can be, because it's just so much of a stretch across every single entrance, across every single possibility. The only one lost is the shield, but you know, we all saw how that happened. But with 45 seconds left, Los desperate to try and pull one body out before push comes towards shove. Hits the beepers, they'll all hear it. Oh, and now they'll start to kill it. Dark, all that is left to keep Los here in the upper bracket. w7m are inside the site and they're watching the beepers door. They're more than ready for this. There it is, w7m do push it over the line at the end. Los, a rough start towards their playoff hopes, but it's not done yet for them.